everybody, and welcome back to our channel, Red Bull Coffee and Crime. Today we have Sarah Jean and Arctic Fox True Crime on panel today.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hi.
Um, hey, Christine, I'm glad you're here. We are going to be going over Oryan O'Neill Murphy, which is Garnet's grandson. We've done videos before, but we're going to go over a little bit more after she retells the whole story again. So, Garnet, do you want to start?
Okay, guys, let me start with keep me on mine. I tend to go off on rants, and this story for me is something that I've lived. So I'm telling it, a lot of it just from my recollection. I may have a date mixed up. I may, but the gist of the story. Let's get there. Oryan was born November 16th, 2010. God forbid if I'm not right. I've got 9 grandchildren, so I'm using that as an excuse, and I'm old.
Oh,
It was either 10 or 11. He was 5 when he passed away in 2016, February of 2016. So,
one question. So it took 5 years for them to come to the sentence?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, so on February, well, let's go back to Ashley, who is my daughter, and Ashley Drewhot and Daniel Murphy. They married right after their oldest son was born. Ashley was just turning 16, and Danny was 19. No, Danny was 20. I had tried everything that I could do to keep them separated. But in Pennsylvania, there's a law. It's 4 years and 1 day. If the child is over 16, that you can get them for statutory rape. And my case fell under that timeline. So legally, there was nothing we could do to stop these children from doing what they were doing, other than me physically chasing her down. And you guys know how that all works when you've got a rebellious teen.
Yeah.
So she gets pregnant with oldest child, and we're just going to say S. She gets pregnant with him. She has him. Then 3 years later, she has Orion. And within 16 months, she has her youngest son, Caleb. I am only saying his name because he's going to be in a lot of these papers. Please, everybody, be respectful. These are real people, and they mean the world to me.
For everybody that is just coming in and have never heard this story, this is Garnet's life. This is her family's story. This is her grandson that's too. So, yeah, just let's.
So in November of what would have been 2015, because Oryan was killed on February 3rd of 2016. So November of 2015, Ashley has the boys in her physical custody. Now, there was never any formal custody agreements between her and the father. They had been split up for many years. But they had tried to co-parent the best they could, both of them having their own mental and addictive personalities. Ashley was very estranged from me at that time because I'm mom and I call you out on your bullshit. So we definitely had some heated discussions, but when she had her kids, they were always put above everything. And even in her addictive state, like I said, she decides that in November she's going to be arrested for a drug charge. Now that drug charge never came to be. They did end up getting her on an armed robbery. They got her on a Walmart charge. And the armed robbery, after they committed that, before I knew that, they committed that the night that Ashley decided that she was going to run. She called her ex-husband and she said, you know, you got to come get the boys right now. They're going to arrest me and I need to get out of here. And in her...
Garnet, I don't want to interrupt, but do you want to, or later, describe Ashley as a mother starting out?
Ashley starting out at, you know, she lived with me in the very early days of having Silas, and she was great. She then got married and moved to Meadville, and our relationship, I got pictures, I got phone calls, I got all of that for the first 5 years or so. You know, she stayed in pretty constant contact. Ashley had some very traumatizing things that happened to her, and that is not where this case is going. But if we ever want to do a case on how she ended up in this position, we could do that. But she had some pretty major life changes. You got to remember, she's 15. She's just turning 16 when she has her oldest. By the time she's 25, she's got 3. So, you know.
That's a lot on a young person.
Exactly. And she suffers a rape in between there. She suffers a neighbor's child that she didn't take to a creek, but he was already there with his older sister. He was about the same age as Oryan, and he ended up drowning and actually blamed herself. Now, like I said, she had no responsibility over this child. She didn't take this child to the river. All she did was see him there and was playing with them. But in her young mind, she should have done more. She should have watched him better. And she never got any mental health help for that. What Ashley did was turn to drugs and hide it and numb it and escape it. And all of this happened while she was growing and being a mom and all of that. So there's a lot that goes behind all of the negative that you will read, because I have shared all the negative.
And that's why we positive. You know, she was a great mother starting out.
She really was. And even up until this November incident where she takes off, she's still in her messed up head thinking she's doing what's best for these boys. She's giving them to their father, and she's going to remove herself because she knows she's not doing right.
Yeah.
Now we know, because hindsight's 2020, in November, when the father comes and gets the boys, he is apparently homeless. And where he is staying, they don't have room for 2 more boys. It's already him and the father and his new girlfriend, and she's got 4 kids. So where they're staying says, we can let the oldest child stay here, but you have to figure out what to do with the 2 youngest.
And so that's CPS, right?
What's that?
That's because there was 21 calls for CPS, right?
Well, there was 21 calls between the time Ashley left Danny in 2010.
Okay.
till 2016 because Ashley left Danny in 2010. They sort of shared custody back and forth. There was never a formal arrangement between them. But Ashley would always take them when Danny would get in trouble with CYS. Or, as you'll see in some of these papers, Danny has multiple relationships through this, as does Ashley. You know, there's other babies that are born outside of their marriage. It's very, very messy. It's addiction and it's messy. I don't know a better way to say it. I mean, no children should ever have to go through this. And once again, that's kind of why we're even talking about this today, is because CYS was there. They were there 21 times and never reached out to the extended family to say that they were even investigating my grandchildren. Ashley didn't know about all these incidences with CYS, or they were minimized to the barest, and Ashley never had a problem stepping in and taking the boys when need be. So it was never suspicious to her until after Oryan died. So in November, she gets Danny to take the boys. Danny can't keep them where he's staying. So in his mind, he thinks that he should let his brother and his wife. Now, the brother and his wife, she had 2 children, and she was much older than Scott, the brother. She actually ended up losing all contact with her children because of the relationship with Scott. They had absolutely taken her kids completely. Her ex-husband would not allow her to have her children. So, Danny brings the boys down here right after Thanksgiving. I get a phone call.
Lucky Reese says, what does CYS stand for?
Children and Youth Services. It's known everywhere by different names, DCFS. You know, but Children and Youth Services is what it's called in Pennsylvania. So they go to his brother's. I get a phone call saying that the boys are close to me. I live in Elk County. That's where his brother lived. I contact the brother, and I am allowed to visit the children at his aunt's house. I'm not allowed to go to his house and visit the kids, but I am allowed a 2-hour visit with the boys at his aunt's house. Now, of course, I ask many, many times if I can just bring the kids to my house for a little while, you know, let them play, give them, you know, just, I wanted my grandkids. I was always told that I could not take my grandkids, that Danny had given them to Scott and Christy, and that I was not to be trusted because I might give them to Ashley, which is as far from anything that would have ever happened at that time, because I knew what Ashley was doing, and she was in no condition to be taking care of any babies. But if I had had any inkling of what I know now, I know why I wasn't allowed to bring those children to my home, because I would have bathed them, I would have fed them, I would have seen the marks, I would have seen what was happening underneath the clothing. So I visit with the boys. At that time, I'm told that they need bunk beds because they don't have beds for the kids. The kids need clothes. They need all of this stuff. Now, I get bunk beds set up through our community. I find somebody that's got a set of bunk beds. I'm going to have them delivered at the apartment, and I'm told, no, we don't need the bunk beds now. We got it. It's all worked out. We're good. But we can use money for food. but we can use this, and of course you've got my grandkids. I'm giving you what I can.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to Christmas Eve, and when I seen them right after Thanksgiving, I had given them outfits, each of the boys an outfit.
I'm trying to find those outfits because those were the
We just
same.
have one up on the screen right now.
Yeah, those, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Those are the outfits I gave them that day. Now, those outfits were clean that day. That day is the day that I seen them, and I could go back and tell you exactly what day that is, but I didn't look it up. But I gave them those outfits. On Christmas Eve, well, Christmas Day, it's not Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I messaged Scott. I told him that I had presents for the boys and I'd really like to see them. Blah, blah, blah. Can I bring them to my house? Can we celebrate Christmas? And once again, you cannot take the children to your house. I will let you know when we're done with our Christmas stuff, and then you can come see the kids. Well, when I got to his place, I was not allowed inside. He brought the boys down, and I gave them their gifts on the street. But both of the boys were still in those outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And we're almost a month later, and they're filthy. There's not one spot of white on either of their outfits. They're just filthy from head to toe. Walking home Christmas night, I message the father, Danny, and I tell him in no uncertain terms that this is not acceptable, that he has until January 1st to come get these children, or I am going to take legal actions to have the children moved into either my custody or state custody, because Scott and Christy are not keeping them clean. Now, at this point, that's all I really can prove.
And you had lung cancer at this time as well.
I did have lung cancer. I was fighting. I had the top part of my right lung removed. So I've only got 2/3 of a lung left. And I was going through chemo and radiation. And we were moving at this time on, the early part of February. Actually, February 1st, we had to have everything out of our place that we were living, and into the new place. So that's the last time that we find out that Caleb and Oryan are still here in Elk County, because Danny tells me Christmas night that he is coming to get those boys January 1st. And Danny and I didn't have a great relationship. I really tried to have him arrested most of his life. So, we didn't have a great relationship. And we don't talk on a daily basis. I get sporadic phone calls. So for me not to talk to Danny after he come and got the boys wasn't a huge red flag. I had sent a couple messages. He didn't answer me. But I was no longer concerned that the boys were here. He had promised me that he was coming to get them. And Danny didn't normally lie to me, I didn't think. I thought, if he said he was coming to get the boys, he'd come and got the boys. On the Sunday before, and I'm just going to say the Sunday before February 3rd. I believe February 3rd was on a Tuesday. And we're talking, so on the night before, or on the Sunday before February 3rd, my daughter goes to the local dollar store. And it's almost 9:30 at night. And when she comes back, we had been moving all day. She says, "Mom, I ran into Oryan. And I said, Oryan, what was he doing here? And she says, I don't know. He was with Scott, and Scott wants you to call him. This is something I will never, ever, ever forgive myself for. I was too tired. And I actually said, I'm exhausted. I can't do this right now. And usually if Scott was contacting me, it was because they wanted money. It definitely wasn't that he was going to let me take the kids. So I said, I will deal with this tomorrow. And tomorrow came. I had to work. I didn't at all even cross the thought of calling Scott on that day. The following day, I woke up to a phone call that says, from my sister-in-law, who said, are your grandkids still here in Ridgeway? And I said, they weren't supposed to be, but I just heard on Sunday that they are. And she says, you need to get downtown. I just come through, and the coroner's van was sitting in front of that apartment.
Wait, Garnet, check your messages real quick.
I always lose you when I do this.
Well, I was gonna, because the photos that you showed me of the apartment are in my other one that I can't get in, and I wanted to show people that how disgusting this place was.
It was horrible. How many people were living inside of one room?
Well, there were the two adults and then Oryan and Caleb. So 2 adults, 2 kids.
And dogs.
Ooh. There were dogs, there was birds, there was, I don't know what all. There was an enormous amount of pill bottles and alcohol bottles. I can see if I can if I can take a picture of some of the pictures. They're very dark, and scanning them are the best way to get them in. But I'll see if I can get some to show up.
There was so much drug and alcohol paraphernalia in the house that they initially thought that Oryan overdosed. Isn't that right? Before they did the autopsy?
Oh, I think she went to, yeah, they did. I think that they thought that he might have drank some alcohol or any of the drugs.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did. They did absolutely think that it was an overdose situation, that the child had gotten into something that he shouldn't have. It wasn't until the autopsy that we find out that it was much worse than that. So then Ashley comes down, of course, because she's got to be around family. When she got out of jail in December, she got out New Year's Eve. And while she was in jail, she called CYS, telling them that she did not want her children where she's being told they were staying. Actually, one of Danny's ex-girlfriends, before December 31st, had called CYS and said, hey, look, these boys should not be where they're at. The father won't answer me. I'm concerned about their welfare. And Crawford County called Elk County CYS and told Elk County, we need a welfare check on these 2 boys. Elk County went to 1 apartment. Now, I live in a very small town, 5,000 people. It's not a whole lot of people here. 1 apartment did they go to. They were told that there were no kids there and that she didn't know where those kids were. Now, that's the aunt's house where I had seen the kids. That's where I went to visit the kids. But they were not living there. No, they were living above a store that the aunt ran. And she told them she didn't know where they were. This storefront was actually a half a block from the police station.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that they went in and out of that apartment and couldn't be seen. It's right on Main Street Ridgeway. Like, it's right there. There's no way that these children weren't seen. But they can't find them, and nothing more is done. No call to anybody to ask if they had seen them. I was never contacted by anybody. In fact, the morning that Oryan passed, Scott and Christy told them that he had no family in the area, that all his family was in Crawford County, and they don't even contact me. They don't know about me until I show up at CYS with no shoes, no coat, the middle of winter, running through town like a mad woman. That's when they realized that I was his grandmother. But they had already put them into state custody, and they wouldn't give me Caleb. They had already made arrangements to send Caleb back to Danny's family. So then Ashley comes here, we do the funeral and everything. I buy Oryan's last suit, his only suit that I'll ever buy him. Ashley's here and she's watching all these news articles because, as I said, we're a very small community and this was really big news. And Ashley says, Mom, he has to have a name. People need to know that he was loved, because they just said a 5-year-old boy. That's what all of them said.
Mm-hmm.
And it really was crushing her soul. And I said, Ashley, we'll call the news. We'll get an interview. You can release his name, but nobody else can. So that's what we do. We set up a news interview, and they use that news interview, and I can't find that news interview anywhere. I have looked. I have contacted the woman that did the interview, and she doesn't have a copy of it. She doesn't any longer work with the newspaper, and they won't give me a copy.
Oryan's group anywhere? I thought the one that you sent that was on like Facebook.
I don't think so. I don't think I ever got the full interview.
Oh my gosh.
If we do have the interview, that's great, but I don't think we do. But in this interview, Ashley answers questions about Oryan. She says, and it seemed like a fairly innocent interview of a mom pleading to have justice for her son. The police actually, in fact, used that interview to charge.
Hey, Christina, thank you for joining.
With manslaughter, and they focus on prosecuting the mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
Held the mother and father in jail for 15 months. And then a judge here decided that they had no evidence, that I don't know what they decided on Danny's side because I don't have his court records. On Ashley's side, they decided that she had given her child to their father with the reasonable expectations that the father would care for that child. And after that fact, Ashley was no longer responsible. That's pretty much what the judge said. The DA takes it a step further and says, oh no, this judge is wrong, and takes it clear to the Supreme Court, wasting more tax dollars trying to prosecute my daughter. All this time, now we're talking almost 2 years, fighting to convict my daughter of a crime. Yet we haven't built nothing on the murderers.
These are the two monsters, you guys, that are on screen.
Nothing. Almost 2 years, and we've got nothing on these two murderers. We don't have, we're not working on them. We did a few studies. We did things to prove that Oryan didn't do this to himself. But then we focused on charging the parents when the two murderers, the people that were there that day, just sat in jail.
Can you kind of go over when they called the asshole uncle? He was what, outside just pacing back and forth, or there was some kind of, he didn't call right away? Like
the report is that now Oryan, I believe, was picked up either at 8:09, or the call either came in at 8:09 or 9:08. Scott was seen sort of on the sidewalk in front of his place, pacing back and forth between 6 and 7 a.m. that morning.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it stated that Christy is the one that made the phone call to 911 and reported that Oryan was unresponsive.
In these pictures that we have, you guys, there is the object. What was it called?
It was a homemade blackjack, and what it is it's like a piece of metal, it sort of looks like a shoehorn type thing, only really short, and it's covered in electrical tape.
They have that hanging up. Their kitchen, you can't walk into the kitchen. You couldn't even go cook something if you wanted to. The chair that they said that Oryan slept on was just filled with filth. These pictures show you how disgusting they lived. And
any of those pictures?
I'm trying. No, it's on my. Remember when the Lexi Gonzalez one, the one I can't get into? Yeah.
Like, I've got the pictures in front of me.
Well, if you can send them to my messenger, then I can put them up on the screen.
Well, you see what happens every time I try to do anything but talk on here.
Come back on. I just want people to kind of see, like, this is the kind of place that they were.
All right. Are you comfortable with me just jumping and seeing if I can get a couple of these pictures to take?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I'll come right back.
Yeah. And you guys, they, if you look on their Facebook, if you go on his Facebook, it's been years where he writes these evil devil, like, my eyes are black, I don't care about anything, just Satanist shit. And the girl during Christmas time calls Oryan her son, and it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. This woman is abusing this child and calling him her son. What am I missing? Hey, Christina. Okay, wait. Oh, she sent me one. Hold on. Let me get this. Let me stop sharing so you guys don't. Hold on. All right. So this is one of them. I just want you guys to get a sense of where these poor children lived. And there had to have been people that knew about it because people were in and out. This is a table filled with alcohol, there's drugs, there's syringes. Let me go to the next ones. Hold on. If I can get there. If I can get there. So this is Caleb's bed. This is where Oryan was supposed to be sleeping. This is his bed, which was a chair covered in just filth. Like, I don't know how he even slept there. We'll go over it more when Garnet gets back on. Oh, yeah, you guys, this case. Garnet, are you back? Oh. Oh, thank you, Christina. I really appreciate it. A birthday now when you're getting older is just like another day. I really appreciate it. Garnet.
I hear you.
Oh,
All right, can you hear me?
yeah. Okay,
I
so
did send you what I was comfortable sending. I
yeah.
could probably put more, but there are some that just are way too graphic, even for YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was looking for like the fridge ones, and but these are look okay. So, do you want to describe these?
Okay. I can't really, because my screen's small.
Well, it's
Oh,
where.
that is Caleb's bed. That is where his younger brother was sleeping. That is actually behind the couch.
Oh, that's
Sort of
awesome.
like where you would put a dog.
Yeah. And then the other side where it says where Orion's bed is, which was that chair, right?
Right.
Where you couldn't even sit on. Like it was filled with shit.
There was no way that you were sleeping on that chair. I
No.
am going to, I just found one of the weapons. I'm going to find the other one and I will send pictures of those.
And then this one, do you remember what this?
That is just, that's a
Hmm.
whole container of medicines that was just laying there.
Yeah, on this table, this alcohol, there's what drugs and syringes right
Yeah.
there with
There's all kinds of.
oh God, oh my gosh. And this lady was faking she got disability and she had to be in a wheelchair, but she could really walk. These people are just scumbags of earth. Let me wait for the other ones.
Oops. I'm getting there. Don't send that one.
Oh,
Very blurry.
let me stop sharing and then.
That was a little better.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Got it. Let me share screen. This is what. All right. So what is
Oh,
this?
wow.
Yeah.
That's the weapon that we believe they used on his head.
Yep. And if we had these in colors that she sent to me, but my other Facebook doesn't work. We have a lot more. You can see like bite marks.
I did send one of the only bite mark that I will show.
Oh, you did send it already?
Yeah, I did send one.
Hold on, let me stop sharing real quick.
Where
Oh,
did I?
oh yeah, they said that this was from um, Caleb, right?
Yeah, they said that. No, they said that Orion bit himself.
Yeah, this is not a little boy's bite. This is a grown adult bite, and you can tell. I mean, look at that.
I am going to, and this is something that we've not done before on the channel. I have the autopsy report.
Yes.
There
And
are 19 pages in this. And if we get to a point where we feel that it's just too graphic, we will cut this. So trigger warning, if you've got a weak stomach, you might want to jump now, but we are going to go over this real quickly. Oryan Murphy, and then it gives us case number. He's 5 years old. The date of the autopsy was February 4th of 2016 at 11:30 a.m. The date of death was February 3rd, 2016. The anatomic diagnosis. Number 1, blunt force trauma to the head. And then A, which is right under that, abrasions and contusions, multiple. B, greater than 20 sublegal and soft tissue hemorrhages to the parietal scalp bilateral. Now, I'm not a doctor and I am not saying these words right. If somebody can correct me, please do.
you are fine because you know how I am when I read.
D, multifocal localized dense suprachoroidal hemorrhage. E, generalized cerebral endemia. F, dusky pink discoloration to the cortex involving the right and left orbital frontal cortexes, consistent with early changes associated with hypoxic ischemic enteropathy, a border zone infraction. Number 2, blunt force trauma to the trunk and extremities, abrasions and contusions, multiple. Number 3, dehydration, Veritas chemistry values, i.e. sodium chloride, urea, nitrogen, and creatine, indicative of marked dehydration, reduced skin turgor. Okay, the opinion. Oryan Murphy, a 5-year-old white male, died as a result of blunt force trauma to the head. For me, that's really all I needed to see. But we go on. The narrative summary. Pursuant to and at the request of coroner Michael Masuto, Elk County, an autopsy is performed on Oryan Murphy. The autopsy was performed on February 4th, 2016, commencing at 11:30 a.m. Eric Levy, MD, forensics pathologist and prosecutor, visual image technician Lee Formicola, autopsy technician was Kaylee Dings, patrol officer was Mark Lovell of the Ridgeway Police Department, and then the Elk County coroner, Michelle Machancio. The body is that of a normally developed, poorly nutritioned white male, weighing approximately 48 pounds, measuring approximately 45 inches with the following measurements in centimeters. Head circumference was 53.5, chest circumference was 54, abdominal circumference was 46. The child appears to be reported age of 5 years. The body is dressed in the following: black shorts with yellow trim. The clothing is intact, clean, and dry. Also, the hands of the descendant are noted to be in a bagged condition at the time of the examination, At the Erie County Coroner's Office morgue facility, the bags are removed at this time. Removal of the bag fails to reveal any evidence of jewelry, rings, or watches. External examination. The temperatures of the body is cool to the touch. Rigor mortis is lysed. Faint purple pink patchy non-fixed liver mortis is evident over the posterior aspect of the body, except in areas exposed to pressure where it is absent. Purple pink patchy non-fixed liver mortis is also present over the left side of the head and face. The head and face exhibit minor trauma. To be described below. The head hair is brown and of short to medium length. The eyes appear to be brown with pale conjunctivitis. The cornea and lenses are transparent. The pupils are regular, round, equal, central, and measure 4 centimeters in diameter. No pathological hemorrhages or congestion are noted in either conjunctive. The ears and external auditory canals are symptomatic, and there is trauma to the right external ear, the details of which will be described below. The skeleton of the nose is intact, and no foreign material is present in the nostrils. No foreign material is present in the oral cavity. The gums are normal. The upper and lower natural erupted teeth are in good state of dental repair. The lips, oral mucus, and the tongue reveal no evidence of trauma. The neck is symptomatic and externally unremarkable. The shoulders are symptomatic. The chest is symptomatic. The abdomen is slightly concaved, and no mass can be palpated through the abdominal wall. External examination continued. The back is symptomatic and exhibits minor trauma to be described below. The external genitalium and anus are of normal anatomic configuration. The penis does appear to be circumcised, and the testes are present in the scrotum. On the peroneal skin at the inferior margin of the gluteal fold, there is a clavicle speckled purple and red, geographic arc-shaped, discontinuous 3.2 centimeters contusion, which is up to 0.5 centimeter in maximal width. The extremities are symmetrical and exhibit minor trauma to be described below. The fingernails are long, slightly irregular, with abundant brown-gray debris beneath the tips. In addition, the left first fingernail has been traumatically resected at the tip with focal exposure of distal nail bed, with an area of underlying nail bed hemorrhage. 0.6 centimeters is minimal dimension. The toenails are short, slightly irregular, with focal brown-gray debris beneath the tips. The skin of the legs exhibit no brown dyspigmentation or dystrophic changes. No edema is present in the ankles or the legs. Passive motion of the neck, shoulders, elbow, wrist, fingers, hips, knees, ankles fails to elicit any bony, cryptus, or abnormal motions. 4 roughly rectangular EKG lead patches are present, one in each of the following locations: anterior right upper chest, anterior left upper chest, right anterior mid-abdomen, and left anterior mid-abdomen. There appears to be reduced skin tugger to the descendant in a diffuse fashion. Associated with this, there is drying of the lips, patchy exportations to the lower lips associated with marked drying. In the antormium condition with associated fissuring and excortation involving the area 2 centimeter and maximum dimension. Now, what I take from that is that his lips were dry. He was dehydrated. On the right lateral upper cheek, there is a transverse, discontinuous, pale pink-orange, dry, thin, 3 centimeter abrasion. On the lateral right cheek, there is a faint blue-purple, poorly decrepitated, roughly around 1 centimeter contusion. On the right lower face, overlying the mid portion of the right mandibular body, there are 2 curvilinear, roughly parallel, thin pink-red abrasions, 0.2 and 0.6 centimeters in length, present over an area of 0.8 by 0.5 centimeters. On the right lateral lower face, overlying the posterior margin of the right mandibular angle, there is a faint peach-colored 0.6 centimeter, roughly round contusion. I just want you to notice how many different colors those contusions are in. That to me means that, you know, some of them were in different stages of healing. On the superior 1/3 of the right external ear, between the helix and the upper crus of the anthelex, there is a patchy red-purple geographic 2.2 by 6 centimeter contusion. On the superior 1/3 of the convex surface of the helix of the right external ear, there is a focal contusion, dark red, obliquely oriented, roughly oval, 9 centimeter abrasion. On the posterior aspect of the right external ear, just anterior to the superior 1/3 of the posterior margin of the helix, there is a central purple and peripheral orange-pink 1.5 centimeter poorly demarcated contusion. On the posterior surface of the right external ear, involving the superior 1/3, there is a patchy orange 1.3 centimeter abrasion. On the central portion of the posterior aspect of the right external ear, there is a patchy, relatively well decapitated, geographic 1.3 centimeter orange abrasion. On the inferior 1/3 of the right external ear, on the posterior surface, there is a faint pink-orange, geographic 0.6 centimeter contusion. On the right inferior scalp, there is a focally contused pink-orange graphic 0.9 centimeter abrasion. On the right medial lower forehead, above the medial 1/3 of the right eyebrow, there is a faint pink-purple, poorly decapitated 1 centimeter contusion. On the right medial upper forehead, just below the hairline, there is a faint purple tan, poorly decapitated 1.2 centimeter contusion. If anybody can correct me on these words, please, I'm doing the best I can.
Girl, you're doing better than me.
On the right frontal scalp, into the hairline, there is a faint pink, purple, and peach-colored, oval, longitudinally oriented 1.4 by 6 centimeter contusion. On the left upper cheek, inferior of the lateral aspect of the left lower eyelid, there is a geographic pink 3 centimeter abrasion. On the left side of the chin, lateral to the metobial scoliosis, there is a pink-orange graphic 6 centimeter abrasion. On the posterior aspect of the central portion of the left external ear, there is a pink-orange 1 centimeter abrasion. On the superior 1/3 of the posterior aspect of the left external ear, there are 2 closely grouped pink-orange abrasions present over an area of 1 centimeter. On the inferior 1/3 of the posterior aspect of the left external ear, there are 2 closely grouped pale pink-orange abrasions, each less than 0.2 centimeters.
We all love you, Oryan.
Over an area 0.6 centimeters in maximal dimension. There's so much. This is just a part of his injuries on the left external ear, on the anterior superior aspect of the left earlobe, its insertion into the scalp. There is a linear oblique 6 centimeter pink-orange abrasion. On the median mid-abdomen, just superior to the umbilicus, there is a patchy, variable, prominent, speckled purple and faint blue, 4.5 by 3 centimeter contusion. On the anterior right upper chest, laterally subpermedial to the axillary apex, the inferior to the lateral aspect of the right clavix, there is a faint brown, poorly demarcated 1 centimeter contusion. On the left interior upper chest, there are 2 poorly tan brown contusions from medial to lateral 1.5 and 2 centimeters in maximal dimension respectively. On the medium lower back, in the midline over the mid-lumbar spine, there are 3 geographic pink and dark pink abrasions ornated over an area of 3.5 centimeters up to 0.7 centimeters in maximal width. And still we go on. On the right central mid-back over the mid-thorax spine and focally extending onto the left medial mid-back, there are 8 poorly tan to tan brown contusions up to 1.2 centimeters dimension, scattered and clustered over an area of 10 by 4.5 centimeters. Controlled incisions into a number of these discloses the presence of underlying hemorrhaging into the subcutaneous tissue. On the left central buttock, there is a faint blue-purple, relatively well demarcated 0.5 centimeter contusion. On the inferior aspect of the left buttock, towards the medial portion, 2.5 centimeter to the left of his butt, there is a longitude-oriented patchy pink,
I gotta
purple,
go sit in the bathroom. I'll be right back.
and tan, 2 centimeters by 0.5 centimeters. Similarly, on the right buttock, there is another 2 centimeter lateral there as well. It measures 1.5 by 4 centimeters. On the right lateral lower chest, there is a tan and centrally brown 9 centimeter roughly round contusion. Now we're on to his arms. I'm at mark 30. You know, we went over 30 different things that were on my grandson already.
It's horrible. I cannot even imagine just 30 things already on a 5-year-old child.
On the right forearm, there is roughly round 5.3 by 3.9 pink-brown contusions, which show a halo configuration, with central sparing involving an area 3 centimeters in maximal dimension. The contusion is up to 1 centimeter in maximal width and shows 2 associated dark red abrasions, which are closely grouped, 2 centimeters in maximal dimension present over an area of 0.5 centimeters. On the mid-right arm, there is a faint tan brown, poorly demarcated 1.6 by 1.3 centimeter contusion. Controlled incision into the skin in this location reveals the presence of sparse underlying hemorrhaging into the subcutaneous tissue. On the posterior left arm, there is a semicircular, arc-shaped, focally abraded contusion, which is 5.5 centimeters in width and 3.9 centimeters in length. At the superior aspect of this, there are 4 closely grouped pink-red abrasions up to a 0.6 centimeter clustered over the area of 2.3 by 0.8 centimeters. That's the bite mark that we just showed you. On the posterior of the left arm, there is a faint purple-brown, poorly demarcated contusion, 1 centimeter. Controlled incision into this area reveals the same hemorrhaging. On the right thigh, there is a pink purple and peripheral tan yellow, poorly discriminated, round 1 centimeter contusion. On the medial aspect of the right kneecap, there is a faint pink 1.5 centimeter transversely oriented oval contusion. On the right thigh, there is a faint purple 0.5 centimeter contusion. On the right shin, there is a faint brown 0.4 centimeter contusion. On the left thigh, there is a faint pink purple tan yellow that's 0.4 centimeters contusion. On the left knee, there is a centrally pink red and peripheral brown that is 9 centimeters contusion. On the supremodial aspect of the left kneecap, there is exceptionally faint purple-gray 1.5 centimeter contusion with focally speckled pinpoint red abrasions contained therein. On the left shin, there is a faint purple-gray 0.6 millimeter contusion. And the last that they see on his body, on the left great toe, there is a focally contused, round, dark red scaled 0.3 centimeter abrasion. We're going to go into the internal examination. I'm going to sort of read over this and cut out some of we don't have to. Of course, they do the normal autopsy cut. His heart was normal. The pachydermium contains a few cc's of clear yellow liquid. The epidermal surface is smooth and shows a scant amount of appendicular fat. The heart is unremarkable. The right and left ventricles are, that just saying that his heart was pretty normal. The cardiovascular system, the right ventricle is 0.25 centimeters thick and the left is 0.8 centimeters thick. Coronary arteries have their usual distribution with a right prominence. The coronary otis are normal and patent in multiple cross sections at 0.2 centimeters. Interviews show no abnormalities or anomalies. So his heart was pretty good. the respiratory system. The right lung weighs 1.6 or 169 grams, and the left lung weighs 154 grams. The mucus is tan pink and contains overlying dark green to green brown liquid, identical to that seen in the stomach. The vascular pleural are delicate and glistening. The lungs are moderately distended and minimally variegated, tan pink to focally pink purple. The lung is of usual consistency and molded with no appreciable amount of. And this is pretty much saying that his lungs were normal. The liver is 540 grams. The capsule is transparent. The external surface is smooth. The borders are sharp. It looks like his liver was good. The gallbladder has delicate walls and contains 25 cc's of the brown thin bile and has mucus. The spleen is normal. The esophagus is empty and unremarkable. The stomach contains 25 cc's of dark green-brown, moderately viscous, hemorrhageous, opaque liquid. The large intestine is notable for the presence of multiple rock-hard aggregates of descended stool present throughout its entirety of the length. The colon shows patchy hyperemia and congestion of the mucosa. Unclear which is shallow, oval, longitudinally oriented, 1.5 by 8 centimeters. The remainder of the gastrointestinal system is unremarkable. The neck, the soft tissues of the neck, thyroid, cartilage, the hyoid bone show no hemorrhage or evidence of traumatic injury. Dissection of the neck reveals no traumatic injuries. The central nervous system. The scalp is reflected, revealing multiple graphic, variably well demarcated, vocally colescent foci and subglenal hemorrhage on the bilateral regions of the scalp, focally extending into the right posterior and left posterior partel scalpel region. There are no less than 20 individual injuries, which are focally consolent. Variably prominent, ranging in color from dark red to red purple to red orange, present over a transverse area of 16 centimeters and an area along the sagittal plane of 18 centimeters. In association with some of these, there is an extension of the hemorrhage into the deep subgleal soft tissue and periosteum of the skull in the right lateral parietal region, right posterior parietal region, and the median parietal region. External visualization of the calvarium falls to reveal any evidence of skull fracture. The calvarium is removed, revealing no evidence of epidural hemorrhage. However, there is extensive global subdural hemorrhage over the right cerebral hemisphere, extending into the right base, composed of hemoglobus gluteus blood clots. Also over the left cerebral convexity, there are localized, less severe areas of subdural hemorrhage involving an area of 7 by 7 centimeters. The overall approximate volume of the subdural blood is 75 cc's. The dura mater does not exhibit any stains or discoloration. The leptogabenes are notable for the presence of several localized foci of dense supracricoid hemorrhage involving the anterior base of the right occipital lobe towards the lateral aspect, with continuous extension into the palustral right temporal lobe, involving an area of 6.5 by 2.5 centimeters. Also, there is a dense localized locus of supracoid subarachnoid hemorrhage at the anterior margin of precentral grisus on the right over the convexity 2 centimeters in maximal dimension. On the left anterior to the left percentral grius, adjacent to.
Oh, Sixth Sense said she can. I have a nursing background and can understand the injuries.
Well,
Like,
I'm glad she can, because, boy, if she could just put this in some normal words for me,
right?
it would help. I would send her the entire thing. The brain weighs 1,420 grams. The central nervous system continued. The ventricles contain the usual amount of colorless fluid. Multiple sections throughout the cerebrum, midbrain, pons, and medulla. She must be like, this woman don't know what she's talking about.
It's okay, Garnet. You're doing the best you can, and you are doing it good.
With dusky pink-purple discoloration affecting the medial mid-left orbital frontal
Oh,
cortex,
God,
involving an area of 2.5 by 1.3 centimeters, and a similar focus involving the posterior aspect of the right orbital frontal cortex at 2 times 1.3 centimeters. On cut surface, the areas of discoloration not only involving the crest of the gyra, but also extended to the deeper involutions of the cortex along the base of the gyra in these locations, suggesting that these are not cerebral contusions, but rather manifestations of ischemia secondary to generalized cerebral edema with vascular compression in these areas. In addition, there is a localized area of partially lacerated disruption involving the splenium of the corpus callosum, 0.7 centimeters in longitude length. No other focal or diffuse lesions are noted. The skull is intact, including the skull base. For toxology, blood, urine, and eye fluid are collected. Additionally, evidence collected included 2 purple tubes of blood and the left fingernail clippings, right and left bags on the hands. All evidence is placed in the appropriately labeled envelope and container. There is a mid-vascular congestion patchy. This is of the lungs, and this was a microscopic examination. There is a patchy anterior alveolar.
Oh, Sarah, we'll get to that because it's a bunch of corrupt bullshit.
There is evidence of post-mortem aspiration with no associated inflammatory cell response. So, we went through 42 things just on his outer body. And at the very least, 20 different hemorrhages in his little brain.
On a
Poor baby.
5-year-old baby.
I can't wrap my head around all this. I really can't. And Garnet, I mean, I don't know how you just read all that, and I just want you to know I could feel your pain. I wanted to keep telling you to take a break. But you pushed through it, and you got it.
You gotta pull it off.
You just get it over with, right? Yes.
Strongest
Oh my God, guys. When I covered this case over on my channel, I was so fucking livid. And
I don't understand.
Sixth Sense said the first part about lividity and rigor mortis relates to the process after death time and positioning. The injuries and hemata are bleeding.
Hematoma.
Also evidence of malnutrition. Yeah, he was definitely malnutrition.
Mm-hmm.
The funny part, and I am not going to read his brother's medical records, but the funny part about all of this is that his brother was completely healthy.
Yep.
They literally
for some reason they tend to target one for some reason.
They targeted him. Absolutely, they did.
The question
that's typical.
You said, Sarah, about the parole. Well,
yeah, I'm baffled because I just the research I did before I jumped on here with you guys. In 2016, they were pursuing the death penalty. Here it is, only 6 years later, and they're up for parole. Like, huh?
Well, it's a long. You want to go over that?
I'm going to get into that right now. And guys, this is my daughter, but I am not one of those parents that say not my kid.
Right.
I'm not. Like, I hold her accountable for her part in this. And I'm not even going to lie. And Lexi gets mad every time I say this. But in the early days of this investigation, if they had come to me and said, we're going to charge your daughter with neglect and abandonment, I would have helped them build a case against her because I was angry at her. I was hurt that she let this happen. But my child did not. She loved her kids.
You didn't intentionally let it happen.
No. I called her. Well,
Well, the trial already took place, Lucky Ree, in Pennsylvania, and they are up for parole in next year. We have a Facebook group. I've linked. I'll link it again if you want to join. We are trying to get all the letters we can because actually I want to show you the monster's Facebook. Even years before this happened, he's a monster. He's not going to change. We are trying to get as many people as we can to write a letter to the parole board because Garnet is the only one allowed, to go in there. But she can bring letters from outside people. So, Lucky Ree, if you do have Facebook and you can join the group, that would be awesome. Because we'll have here's the Facebook information.
What?
But yeah, they are up for parole. Garnet, I don't know where she went. She'll be back, but she'll go over.
I'll drop the link in the comments.
Yeah, it's definitely a corrupt. It's corrupt, and they could get out. And The thing is, the brother still talks to the dad of these children because that's his brother. The uncle that murdered Orion is the dad's brother. So we can't picture him getting out on parole and just sitting there with in his brother hasn't got any kind of therapy for this and just having Christmas dinners, birthdays, um, all that kinds of stuff. He'll just be sitting next to his brother's murderer. The dad does has not stopped talking to the brother. What date are they up for parole? I'm not sure, but it is coming this next year.
So much about the case pisses me off. Number one, the fact that these pieces of shit get parole in the first place, but that they gave the child back to the very family that was responsible for his death instead of giving it to, say, Garnet.
Yeah.
Giving little Orion's brother to her would have been a much better solution, I think.
Let me show you this piece of crap's Facebook. Facebook. He doesn't need to be out. He's been a monster before this ever happened. Wait, let me see if Garnet's no, she didn't come back on yet. Hold on. Snuff and I'll have to look. Shoot. It's like snuff and I wrote it right here. Snuff and it's disgusting. These people are and the girl, the aunt, who said she needed disability because she's in a wheelchair. She doesn't need a wheelchair. In jail, she's not in a wheelchair. She was faking disability. Where's Garnet? I'll have to ask her for snuffs. How long have they? Who the uncle and his wife went to prison, and they've been in prison since
2016, right?
Yeah,
2016. February 2016, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me snuff and
And
I want you guys to see this Facebook. Oops. Let me get this off there. Okay. You'll be disgusted at the bullshit. I mean, it's already disgusting, but the shit that he writes, and then the Christmas, the acting like everything's good, but the whole time he's been abused, snuff, and hold on. Snuffy, Snuffy. Oh, here's Garnet. Garnet, what is the Facebook again? Snuff and
Snuffy and Christy, or Christy and Snuffy. It's one way or the other.
Christy and so they wanted to know about the backstory of why they're getting
Well, they spent all that time trying to convict the parents instead of building this death penalty case against the two murderers. The original DA was the high school principal's brother. And Ashley and the high school principal really had like a vendetta going on. She believed that Ashley made a bomb threat against her school, and they were never able to pin that on Ashley, partially because they wouldn't give me the handwriting,
so
because I would have told.
It wasn't 2000. Well, what day month in 2016 did they go?
What month did they get arrested?
Yeah.
Scott got picked up shortly after February. I want to say he was in jail by March because he had an outstanding warrant that they hadn't bothered him on in years, up in Crawford County. And they used that to pick him up.
So
Now,
she writes, "My boys, Orion and Khalid, playing with their building blocks." And that's them. Let me get to the keep going, Garnet. Sorry. I'm just
Caleb.
oh, I always thought Khalid.
It's Orion. I know she spelled it weird. It's Orion and Caleb.
All right. Caleb. Hold on.
But there was this personal vendetta between the family of the DA and my daughter. And I truly believe that that is why they focused so heavily on the parents, was because of that vindictive, we're going to get her now. And they never did build a strong enough case. The original DA, after 4 years, got elected as judge, and was removed from the case because now he's a judge. And the new DA that took over, of course, I reached out to him as soon as he got into office. And when he first talked to me, he said, look, the best I can do with what I have, what evidence we have, the best I can do is get you manslaughter. And I begged him, with everything that I had, to please, I need a murder charge. I can never sleep again without a murder charge. And he really did work to get me this plea deal of the murder 3 charge for them. Both of them, the Scott pled guilty, and Christy pled that plea where you admit you're guilty, but you don't
No
admit you're guilty.
contest.
Yes. They called it
Yes.
something else, but yes, but that's exactly
Nolo.
what
I do not wish to
It's called an
contend.
alpha plea is
Nolo.
what it's called.
So
But
But
the
yeah.
term she's looking for is the NOLO, NOLO. I do not wish to contend.
Yep, that's it.
Which is no admission, no denial.
so this is before in court they said that his eyes were just blank. They were black. There was no emotions. And in his poems that he wrote before this happened, are just so, you could tell this guy has a lot of issues.
He had no emotion, and she couldn't stop crying, right?
Yes.
Great anger builds quite soon to blow. I should be worried, but I can't wait. My mind's a mess. The thoughts aren't mine. Such dark desires, you'll all soon know. My knife in hand, and victim now, chosen with one swift slice. His blood does flow. The first one's dead, and what a rush. I choose another. His blood does gush. Their blood does drain. They breathe their last. I'm searching again, for it was too fast. Watching their life ends, it's such a thrill. I can't hardly wait for the next good kill.
Wow.
That was written by him, and then here is his little emptiness, dark eyes, fucking weird. Oh my god.
Now, I am going to say, anybody that looks up these news articles, they're rather hard to find, and I tried to put links, and a lot of them no longer work, so I did screenshots in the group that we have for Orion.
Yeah, we put a link for Ryan's thing. So if anyone wants to join on Facebook, they can.
But all of these news articles, I need to get this out here because it really does bother me. All of these news articles that show the pictures of Snuffy, that is actually the boys' father that they show. We have tried time and time and time again to get them to retract those and make the pictures right. And the local news companies are ridiculous. Even as far as when they wrote the article about Scott and Christy getting this plea deal, they made the article more about my daughter's current crimes than they did the fact that these two monsters were getting basically 8 to 20 years.
And media does that a lot. Media twists words. They twist, everything somebody says, and
Mm-hmm.
that takes us back to Kyron's case as well. I feel like that was done a lot with Terry.
Well, that is sort of what changed my mind.
Yeah.
Seeing how easily they preyed on my daughter's need to have her son's name out there, and the messages that my community sent me. These people are my neighbors. They know us. And I get graphic messages on how they want my daughter to die.
Oh my.
Lucky said, is the judge that only gave the short sentence still sitting as judge in that county? Did you answer that?
The judge that gave that sentence, he is moved on to a higher court, and in his defense, I do believe that the new DA's hands and his hands were kind of tied, because the money that was spent building a case against the kids' parents, if that money had been spent building a case against the murderers 6 years ago, I feel like that is more of where the misjustice in this case started. I do believe that the judge did what he felt was best he could do. You got to remember, this was a plea deal. So, it wasn't like we went to trial. This is what they agreed to, and what I ultimately agreed to. In my statement, I said that I was not happy with this, but that it was better than manslaughter. They had to say that they murdered my grandson. And that, to me, at that point, was so very, very important, because I really thought they were going to walk away without having to admit that.
Is there a petition?
We are gonna, that's what I spoke about before, is a petition, but we need to figure out when.
I don't know what we could do at this point other than me going to every parole hearing.
Yeah.
Um,
Bringing
yeah.
letters.
Other than that, I've been told that we can send letters.
Yeah.
But that, like, we can't stand in front of them. We can't. It's going to be me. And
help. I'm telling you, letters will, from people that have seen, and just like all this stuff, this is not going to change. He's talking about blank expressions all over his face and stuff.
You would think they had gone through and looked at all that and would consider that,
And if
they wouldn't
when he goes up for parole, like, that's someone who should never, ever be released.
Yes.
Exactly.
On top of what he did, like, it shows character.
We need to remind them that this piece of shit will never change, ever.
Do we know who actually called 911?
She called 911.
Figured.
Yeah.
And
She called.
is there, I don't know if you want to go over it, Garnet, what makes us think that she...
Well, I'm going to say this, and this is all I'm going to say because I wasn't there that day.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. When I first heard that Oryan was dead, I was bound, set, and determined that Christy killed my grandson. There was nothing anybody could have ever said to me to change that thought. When we went to sentencing and I got to speak to both of them directly. Now, I knew Scott from the time he was a young child. I've known Scott since he was 12, maybe 14. But I knew him. And I had seen him interact with my grandchildren several times. I couldn't imagine, not for a second, that he could do this. When we went to that sentencing hearing, he definitely proved me wrong. I am absolutely sure walking out of that courtroom that he killed my grandson and that she watched it, she enabled it, she
was probably battered wife syndrome, like scared. You know what I mean?
Well, she was something, and at the end of my statement, I told them both, you had one job. It was to keep him safe. That's all he wanted. All we wanted. That's all they needed. Just keep him safe. And neither one of them.
I read that in the article.
I did tell her. Now, Scott, I will never forgive him. Me and God have to deal with that on our own. And I talk to God about that regularly. I can't just forgive him because he has never claimed not 1 minute of this. I told her that I could forgive her. The person she needs to work on is God, because that's the one that's going to ultimately decide your fate. But that's how quickly just your human reaction. And I don't know the part that she played in it, but I know that in her mind, she feels that she's done something wrong. Now, whether she takes full responsibility for what she's done, only God can answer that. And I'm going to leave that in his hands. But Scott has taken no responsibility in this. And I cannot imagine not one day of him sitting down to Christmas dinner with my grandchildren ever.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why, 6th Sense, she said her niece had to go to every parole hearing. It gets more challenging each time, but with all these letters being written, and I really truly believe in my heart they will not let them out regardless.
I'll tell you what, guys, if I had known that there were people that outside of my community, because I was alone and I was scared and I was criticized and my family was threatened.
So bad.
I wish you had us then.
If I had this case would have never went the way it did.
Yeah.
There's studies in my box here, because Ashley was a defendant in this. I got all the original paperwork from the trial to start with because they had to give it to her. She's a defendant. Now, after she was cleared, I haven't gotten any of the new stuff, but I do have the reports where the University of Pittsburgh did a study to prove that Oryan couldn't have done this to himself. Because that was one of their main things, was that they had done this, that he had done this to himself.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. A child.
yes, kids can fall.
Oh,
go, I'm sorry.
Beat the crap out of himself. Come
right,
on
like
now.
kids can fall and hit their head or something, but that was way too many injuries for any child to accidentally have done that to themselves. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
That should not even been entertained as a possibility.
No, and that, I believe, right there was the stalemate in this, is that they had experts that would testify that he did this to himself. I believe that was the stalemate. And we're in such a small county that money that they spent wasted on the parents.
Well, let me
Could
just
have
say that
helped.
any expert that would testify that he did that to himself must have got their diploma out of a fucking Cracker Jack box.
I don't have that in writing. I don't have that, but from my discussions with people inside of the case, that's the feeling that I get, is that they have experts that would have contested what our experts were saying. And ultimately it comes back to the lack of funds. How do we defend this?
I mean, you're relying on the district attorneys, and that's it.
Exactly. And for 5 years.
You have no trial, no jurors,
No,
no lawyer, no nothing.
No, and for 5 years, I didn't have a district attorney that was fighting for my family.
Right.
For the last year of this, I had a district attorney that was fighting for me to the best that he could. But he walked into an office with a case that they told everybody was going to be a death penalty. And he's looking at the reality that he might not even be able to get a manslaughter charge on. And when he told me that, I said, they're going to hang you. I said, the public is going to hang you. And he said, I really don't care what they are going to do to me. What bothers me is what's going to happen to you. And that's when he took another 6 months to figure out how to pressure them into agreeing to plead to murder 3.
Wow.
So, when we look at this, I want to be very careful and make sure that the right people that we are mad at are the people that we are mad at. And Judge McManus is the one that, he's the one that dropped the ball. He's the one that let a vendetta against 2 children take over this case.
Yeah.
Anyone involved in a child's death should never, ever, ever have a chance on getting out ever.
If you harm an innocent, and to me, there are very few innocents in this life. There are children, there are animals, and there are, I don't know the politically correct way to put it, but the mentally handicapped. Those are our true innocents. And if we can't protect those, then I don't know where we're at. And every day, Thomas shows me 6 cases that I can't stomach.
Sadly, it seems like people who hurt animals get more time than the ones that hurt children. I've just noticed that, and it's sick to my stomach.
Yes, absolutely. At some point, we could go over, like, the statements that each of them made to the police. I have all of those as well. Just to show how flimsy I feel the entire case was. I don't, and I will never understand how it took 5 years to get to a point where we would accept a plea deal. I will never understand it, because except for the fact that early on the police messed up and didn't give them their damn meds.
Just so
Both of them were on psych meds, but neither one of them were taking them correctly.
this case is just I can't. I don't even know. Oops. I was trying to show Orion's picture in the back.
Does anyone have any other questions or would like me to explain? Like I said, I am an open book, and I do not want anybody to walk away from this thinking that I am here defending my daughter or her husband.
No, but I do
I
want to show your daughter's now out, right?
She
And
is out of jail.
she
She had went to jail for an unrelated charge, which if you read that last article on the sentencing of Scott and Christie, you will read all about her crime.
and she wrote a post on Orion's group, and she said, "I just wanted to say thank you all for your support. I have never gone through something so hard as losing Orion, and it is no secret that I couldn't cope without drugs. This was my first year sober and unincarcerated. So this is the real celebration of life B-Day I've had for him. I blew out his candles. I sent him off balloons. I cried so many tears, but I am laying down with a lighter heart and pride in myself because today Orion would have loved who I am becoming. I am his one and only mother, but he knows more than I do in regards to the potential I have. He is my guardian angel and guiding light. I know he sees me, and not a second goes by that I don't feel him in my heart. I love you, Orion. And again, thank you all. And I saw um, the birthday thing she did for him.
Yes.
I just played that, and I missed that, but it's right here. I just want to show you guys one thing. Hold on.
And I can testify that Garnet holds her daughter accountable because when I did my video on Orion, Garnet told me I took it way too easy on her daughter.
And I feel Garnet knows how I feel.
I do. I do. And you're right. You're right. She really was doing in her mind at that time what she felt was best.
This is
And hindsight's 2020. We all make mistakes. I hold myself just as accountable as I hold Ashley.
this is what she
We all
did.
love you, Orion.
Love you, Ryan. Love you, Ryan. Happy birthday, boy.
Happy birthday.
It's a real OG birthday.
Here we go. Woo!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's on there.
We all love you, Orion.
Love you, Ryan. Love you, Ryan. Happy birthday, boy.
Happy birthday.
It's a real OG birthday.
Here we go. Woo!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's on there.
We all love you, Orion.
Love you, Ryan.
Just looping, honey.
Happy birthday, boy. Happy
Hold on.
birthday.
And if you're watching, I just want you to know that we're rooting for you, that I love you and I don't even know you, but I love Garnet to death. And Orion's definitely looking down on you. And we just know you can do this. And you have to do it for him. So,
Well said.
does anyone else have any questions for Garnet? Garnet, I have to speak to you because before we got on, you told me something and now I'm freaking out.
It's okay. It's okay. We're okay, I promise. I will talk to you as soon as we get off of here.
Okay.
Everything's happening at once. That's what happened when I left there. My phone completely died because I forgot how much battery it takes doing these. So, but we are definitely, I can't thank you all enough for supporting us in this. Like I said, in the beginning, it was very dark and we were very, very alone. And knowing that I have people that I have the utmost respect for, backing me, and knowing that, when I have to make this trip, you guys might not be there personally with me, but I know that you'll all be there with me in spirit and
Absolutely.
holding me up
I will have to try to make a trip whenever it is because I want to be with you.
They're not going to let you go
Well,
in.
I know, but
And
I will wait for you outside of wherever the hell I have to wait. Like, I don't want you to ever feel alone. And just know that we're all here.
once
Absolutely.
again, um, like I said, you know, if there's ever a case where we can help one family not ever feel the way I feel.
And that's where
Yeah.
Harley, if Harley's watching, please email us and please let us know what's going on and see if we can help you in any type of way. I gave you my
I
email.
have a
Huh?
I'm sorry. I had a quick question for Garnet. Do for the parole hearing, do you know if there will be like an online thing where we can all come on and watch and support you? And
I
you know
don't
what I mean?
know yet. I
Okay.
am going
Because
to
they do that a
call.
lot nowadays.
Right. I'm going to call and talk to my victim's advocate
She has
and
to
see,
figure it
because
out.
now we are getting down to the deadline, and you know, the DA that's actively in office wants to go with me, and you know, so we need to get everything in a row, and I will do that tomorrow morning. Make those phone calls and find out where we're at and where we're standing. They've told me that they will contact me when they get a date, but I never put a whole lot of stock in that because they don't love Orion the way that I do. You know,
Mm,
he's just a file.
Sixth Sense, thank you very much for always supporting us from the very beginning and always, trying to give the best advice and positivity you can. We really, really appreciate it. Um, it's crazy how you can meet people on the internet and they become like family, more than your own family. Lucky Ree, if you
Absolutely.
end
The
up
support
feeling
is
as though you can't
amazing.
do it, just don't and do not feel guilty for 1 second.
So, you know, now we've done a 2 hour show on me blabbering about
It's not
my home.
Bradley. We wanted to know
Uh,
it, and we have like three more shows coming. But
But this is a good demonstration of why we continue to put a focus on these cases where CPS has failed. Here's a prime example. As many times as they were called out, as pitiful a condition as that apartment was in, and yet little Orion was failed.
yes, yes. He was failed by everybody in his life. He was failed. And, you know, that like I said, I take my own responsibility in this. I should have just went to that house. I should have went to jail trying to save.
I hate when you say that.
I know, but
I hate when you say that. I know. I I just
knowing what I know today, uh,
But you
you know,
didn't know. So you can't beat yourself up for
yes,
that.
that's what I always try to
Hindsight
say.
is 2020, and you can coulda,
Yeah.
would you, should you to yourself to death. You had no idea how bad it truly was over there, and you
no,
have no. You
I
have
truly thought it was just because I didn't like them.
Yeah, and you don't have any accountability in this. You're not the one that put Orion in that apartment at all. So,
And I know that most of the time. It's 2 o'clock in the morning that, you know, those thoughts sneak in and say, you know, if you'd have just not been so tired that night, if you had. So, you know, but that only happens at 2 o'clock in the morning. And when it does happen, I have found me a support group that definitely cares about me and pulls me out of that. And I can't thank you guys enough.
I want to read a quick thing that I found. Well, now I lost it. Um, Dang it. Well, if I can find it. I mean, you guys can talk about something real quick so I can find it. on. Why won't it let me close?
I'll gladly talk about something real quick, and that's that on the 27th of December, the Federal Help Find the Missing Act, otherwise known as Billy's Law, was signed into law. And that means that going forward, every police municipality across this country is federally mandated to enter every missing person into NamUs, where before
Good.
so many cases were not entered, that get entered into the NCIC, which isn't even available for public viewing, but so many of the cases never got entered into NamUs. So this is huge.
Right, because having them all in
Yeah.
one place, that is wonderful news.
That is, because I never even
Well, it's
knew.
about friggin' time.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to help,
It's
especially the adult
something.
missing cases, but it should also help with some of these teenage runaway cases that police just set on the back burner and don't take with any type of sense
You,
of urgency.
it's so sad. The amount of runaways here where I live, the police don't look for them. We do. And we help their parents get them home.
So very.
Exactly. And we have an
The police
epidemic
don't
in this
do it.
country right now where children are going missing from these DCFS boys and girls homes that are
Yeah.
supposed to be there to protect these children. I just covered another one out of Oklahoma today on my channel that went missing out of the DCFS center in Ardmore.
Trying to think of her first name. Oh my gosh. Denard. You know who I'm talking about? Gosh, what's her first name? Why can't I think of it? Because there's so many kids in my head, I can't even get them straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Her last name's Denard. She was in one of those homes for behavioral. Her parents had split up, and then him and his wife had, his new wife had, whatever. He ended up with this other wife, and they sent her to this home, like, where she ended up running away from.
Serenity
What is-
Denard, I think is who you're
Serenity,
talking
thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God, it was just right there at the, tip of my tongue. I couldn't get it out. That one still bothers me. And now I live in Vegas, and there was a man at the Bass Pro Shop that worked there, and he started taking pictures because there was a man walking with a young girl, and they were being very inappropriate. He was making out with her. He had his hand down the back of her pants. There's all kinds of pictures. So he posted them all over Facebook, thinking this could be a kidnapped little girl. Is it anyone recognize her? Well, she looked like Serenity Denard. She really did. And to this day, a lot of us are still unsure that they investigated that fully. They did no DNA. They took the stepmother's word that, nope, that's not my daughter. Well, it's not your daughter, for one. And how do you know? By looking at a picture. It's been so long, that could be her. It looked just like her. Then the story was that they're from Africa, and this is the way that it's child bride. This is okay in their country. But then it turned to, there was a woman with them and other children, and actually that was the wife, and these were just the kids. Well, then why was he making out with her? So I still to this day do not believe there was a thorough investigation in my city, and that really very well could have been Serenity Denard, or another child that's missing for that matter.
Oh, absolutely. And I would never make a determination on whether it was a specific missing child or not based off of CCTV footage, because God knows a lot of the footage that we see from these
They were able to
CCTV
track them down. They were able to track them down to a hotel. They went by their passports and then by Serenity, because the guy didn't think it was Serenity. He didn't even know who she was. He just said, this is not right, and let me post this. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, that looks like Serenity. And that's how that investigation got rolling. And then there was no DNA. The stepmother looked at the picture, says, nope, that's not Serenity. And the police were like, well, they had passports. Well, I mean, anyone can get a passport or have one made up. So I still to this day am still so iffy about that conclusion. They just don't thoroughly do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and some of the now some CCTV cameras are good, but some of them look like the footage was taken on a goddamn Nokia 3310. So I would never try to identify a child based solely off of CCTV footage.
Right, and that's true. But I mean, you know, if you're good at seeing certain trademarks in a person's facial, like one eyebrow is shaped a certain way and one eye might bend in a corner a different and just a unique way, you know what I mean? And that's how it was with Serenity and then this girl and these pictures, and they just totally matched.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean, what I'm saying is
I
they
still
should.
to this day think, yeah, they should, and they should have done DNA before they released this family back on the road.
Yeah, exactly. They should have done that. They should have tried to see if there was any type of fingerprints that they could
And
match.
even if it's legal in your country to make out with a child that's not here and you're here and that's illegal, so what are you doing
Right.
in a
Exactly.
store making out with a child and then walking? I mean, I probably still have the pictures in my phone somewhere, walking with his hand down the back of her pants, and she's looking around at people in the parking lot like kind of looking scared, like help me, you know. And in one picture it looked like she was doing some kind of hand gestures, like she needed, like she was signaling. So that alarmed the man that worked there as well, you know. And it took a day or so and police caught up to him, but like I said, it was like case closed so fast within hours after they caught up with him and brought them in for questioning. And it was just, and then there's this relationship between the stepmother and the daughter, and it's not great, and that she had a new baby, and that's part of the reason why she ended up in the behavioral home. She was known to run. She would run from the home. Well, why is she hiding and running from her home? You know,
I
so
was gonna
we say they were saying she had a detachment disorder. If she has a detachment disorder, why would she run? That does not go together. So they stuck her in this home and she ran away from there, and I don't know, there's a lot more to it. That would be a whole live, to be honest with you, and then some. And maybe we'll plan one in the future
Okay,
because she's still missing.
I can't find it. It was gonna. I'll do this prayer for the next one, but it's for Garnet, and it was like the perfect one. But I'll find it.
All right, guys.
Barbara Hall. I understood it took me 6 weeks to get the police to help me look for my son. Oh my gosh.
6 weeks, and for me to call their fucking ass out several times on my channel. Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? Arctic, what'd you say? Like I was.
Oh, on Barbara's son, it took 6 weeks, and then even at that, it took me calling them out several times on my channel. When I say that I'm on a watch list in Missouri, Timmy's case is the reason why I'm on watch lists in Missouri right now.
Oh my god.
And Garnet, if you feel like you need a session after this, let me know. Otherwise, we could do it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
She does. I want her to have one so bad.
Yeah, I know you need one too. I've been trying to get a hold of you for a few days. I think we all kind of checked out for a second.
I think when we all go through a mental like state, it's weird. Like I can try my hardest to post on YouTube and Facebook because it's about being an advocate. You know, we don't want to stop what we're doing for the children, but when speaking to people,
yeah, and that's why we have admins, and for the days we can't do it, they can step up.
And it's just it's been a definitely hard week. I think for all of us. For the past, I mean, I felt good yesterday and today, so knock on wood. I hope it continues.
We're going into a new year here.
Yes.
Fresh
Right?
year. Just remember that.
Um,
This
yeah, yes, Thomas, if it wasn't for you, I don't think everyone would have helped me.
oh,
Oh, I thought that was Barbara. Barbara.
No.
I was like,
All
wait.
right, guys. I am getting off of
I did
here.
too for a second.
I was like, she had a son?
All right. Well, let me know if you message me if you feel like it. Otherwise, we'll do it tomorrow. Okay.
We have a
All right.
live stream coming. Well, I'm gonna make it in probably like an hour, you guys. If you guys don't want to join, it's fine. I'd rather you guys have join, but if not, it's okay. At the same time, if you guys have them, it works well in the southern hemisphere. Well, Sixth Sense, if you're available in an hour, you know, you should join our next one. Um, we really appreciate you guys being here. Um, please like this video. Please share. Please help us get these stories out there. Um, that's what I always say too, Lucky Ree. You never know who can get this story into their hands. Somebody that can help in a certain way, and it just hey, the bridge burner, little late, but what's up, Betty? Good night, Barbara. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, you guys. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Arctic, for joining as always.
Of
We
Thank you for
course.
having me.
Yes, we'll have a little call after this. Um, again, please share, you guys. Please send a notification. Well, I will post on the community tab when it will be. We already have them scheduled, but this took over the hours we were supposed to do it. So I'll probably just have to up it like around 10:30. But thank you guys so much again. Um, please press that subscribe button if you already haven't, and give the video a like, share, and everybody have a good night. I hope to see you guys in our next video. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Arctic. Oh,
Bye.
if you guys have not subscribed, Sarah, I know you're trying to do something more with your channel. Please go subscribe to Sarah Jean, really good friend of mine, good creator, and Arctic Fox True Crime. Um, please go subscribe to them. I'll try to make I can work at the same time. Yes, please. And please, Lucky Ree, I hope to see you there as well. My kids are now knocking at my door. Aw, thank you, love. Thank you, thank you. That means a lot. I'm feeling down on my birthday, so that really does mean a lot. Um, I will see you guys in about an hour. Thank you guys so much again.